But this is the kind of thing that Gen.G can maybe use to their advantage. Now, it doesn't inherently mean that Sentinels are gonna lose this map. That's certainly not the case. But this is Gen.G's best opportunity. If they lose this, I think it'll be a straightforward 2-0. If they win this, this could definitely go to 3 maps.
Well, that's I think that if we're going to see Gen.G win this, excuse maybe like a few massive slip-ups from Sentinels or some like coming into this tournament not really prepared, which I don't think either of those things are going to be happening. I think they have to get it to a 3rd map. Like going into Bind, sure, we haven't seen these teams play too regularly, of course, but it's been months and months, in fact, since both these teams have played. But interestingly, Gen.G actually always win Bind facing off against the Sentinels. So that's a map that if it does end up there, then we could easily see them winning. Whereas if you look at the other side of things, like realistically, Sentinels, well, they were the Sentinels for a long, long time. And then obviously split for them. It's another map where I think both of them, they have an 85% win rate on, which, let's be real, that's utterly ridiculous.
The issue when you talk about this kind of stuff with Sentinels is that it was so long ago. It was, you know, the Ignition series, there's been big balance changes. Typically, you'd see Sick on the Sage on this map. Not the case anymore, because Sage has pretty much dropped out of pro play completely. Now it's going to be ShahZaM over on the Jett, and Sick on the Breach. And you'll see on their attack, they like to feed him all of the orbs that they can. Rolling Thunder is so powerful on here, and it's going to be a very quick execute from Gen.G, who on the executes look pretty good.
Well, maybe it's not going to be that quick. There's been a lot of counter utility expended early on the Cypher, denying them at least some early presence. And in fact, it's going to be sick to find the first pick. A quick couple of trades back from GMD, however, is going to make things that little bit more awkward. In fact, Omen's just on ham in the pistol round, leaving just 2 players remaining, but one of them being sinatraa. Found the kill at the back of the shock dart, but it's Shawn, the new man on the block, to close out the pistol round. It will be heading into the camp of Gen.G, and they've got off to a strong start at least.
And I think this kind of playstyle that Gen.G is now inherited with the double duelist might be able to catch Sentinels off in those clutch moments. Like, they are very much set in their ways, they have game plans, they have really good defaults and executes. But when things start to go a little bit off script, that's areas where Sentinels can often make a few mistakes that can be punished by really solid players that are having a really good day. That is Shawn. That has been Shawn so far this tournament. But this is a big ask. This is the best team in NA that they need to beat up. And whilst they've got the first round, they need to get another 12.
That's definitely a long, long road to go. Of course, for anybody wondering, the stuff above their name is Gen.G. They're currently 8-0 in maps. And Sentinels did drop the 1 map, which I said was a pretty big surprise for us, at least, because most of the teams that they faced off against so far, they're teams that we expected them to absolutely demolish. So maybe a slight slip up early on. And we've seen a video actually released over the last couple of days coming out from the Sentinels, basically saying that sometimes it takes those moments, those kicks, to show them that maybe they're not quite in the form that they wanted to be. And that's how they ended up basically becoming the powerhouse that they currently are. Nonetheless, we'd have to hope that versus Gen.G, we're going to get the best from them. Again, we're going to see the same take in towards the A site. And there is a very passive player at the back of the site. Sick will at least get one, so they're doing at least a little bit of damage. And sinatra's found another one. This is starting to become scary. This is mostly just classics. How is this even becoming close? And now it's Shawn still pushing into the site. He's the 3rd kill of the round and consistently trying to heal himself back up. Sick has survived a ridiculous amount of time, but eventually he gets dropped. A little bit too close for comfort for Gen.G, that's for sure. But realistically, it's still around in their favor.
Yeah, the economy is not good for players like GMD, as you can see. Might be a case of having the ghost in the hands of player 1. Shawn is 1 ult point away from an Empress, so they can get that to him. He can maybe play a bit more sort of aggressively, try and push ahead for his team. Money is fine for Sentinels. No ultimates yet on the board, but it's how they try and build it up. Certainly on A main, where the ult orb is for the attackers, a lot of teams will just fight for that constantly, just to make sure that they constantly have those ultimates up.
Well, it worked for them twice, Ryan. So you're never going to guess what they're going to try and do a 3rd time. I don't know if this is a direct read coming out from Gen.G, just basically finding out that their opponents abandon this site quite regularly. But with an early stack over onto the B site, they've got this one for free. Now, in terms of weaponry, they have some weaknesses. You can see the Stinger currently out. Spike planted. Yeah, and while bit more aggressive here. I like this. Reclaim some map control. Don't allow them to get too far forward. And MkaeL's already found the first kill onto dapr. Bear in mind, this is a weaker purchase. This is Gen.G not necessarily putting every single penny into this round, whereas their opponents of Sentinels have got those rifles, looking to try and take this one home. Gen.G in a pretty powerful position. They're not going to clear the edge of his smoke, and ShahZaM eventually gets the trade. Damage being done, but Shawn's left so blind. However, the trades come back thick and fast, and somehow Gen.G have managed to take home a third round. That was a bit of a thrifty buy, if anything. And the Sentinels, well, that's a real kick in the teeth.
Final kill of that round was a ghost that player one started the round with. Pretty much going to be a full upgrade, mostly from the guns that were left on the graveyard of the last round. Empress is available. They have a run it back on this attack from the shadows even. But there is a rolling thunder on this defense. Sick usually plays super passive with this, might even go all the way to B boathouse. But Gen.G would not be Gen.G if they didn't do the sim default until it stopped working, basically. So they are leaning towards A, but they do like to put a bit of pressure mid-round towards A shot if they can.
Yeah, I think especially in these sort of rounds where, obviously, thanks to the way that the scoreboard works in Valorant, they can see the investment of their opponents. They're going to know that they can't realistically put too much into this round. So they play more of a safe default just to be patient in the initial stages, trying to find out information. Definitely don't want to go barreling into a stack. And, well, if you go to the same site, Ryan, 3 times in a row, it's very likely you might.
Most teams will stack more people. ShahZaM just wants to be the first person that they run into. 4 HP. It could have been a shotgun that would have done a lot of damage, but the dash is good to get out of there. But it has put zombs in a really difficult position. He's just wanted to try and catch people, and he can. Win is the first to get a kill. ShahZaM is back at least. And some damage has been done to Gen.G. They're still a 4 versus 3. Still trying to work their way onto the site.
Well, the best round they've had so far has been off the back of classics. I am hoping that's not going to be a running theme for the Sentinels. This round, though, well, if they can get any extra weaponry, it might just be worth holding on to it. Sure, they will have an investment into the next, and in fact, they're just going to try and run in and do some extra damage. It's a complete failure, however, as we now see Gen.G 4-0 up. Solid start for them on the attack. But this is where things should get a little bit more interesting. There's no more excuses of utility missing or even an operator gone. They will have all the finances they currently need over on the defensive side. But this is where I want to see at least some of the rounds become a little bit closer. Because realistically, Ryan, all we've really seen is the same A executions. And look at where Gen.G are again.
See it again.
But look at the defense.
Yeah, like the rolling thunder might come in instantly if we see Sick getting a hint of it. Gen.G at least playing passively. They do have a Hunter's Fury, which could create a lot of space, but they might not be expecting Sentinels to try and take all of this ground. They're just trying to nip it in the bud if they possibly can. Try and take some of that space away from Gen.G, but they're more than happy to just sit and wait patiently, take it back in about 30 seconds time.
Nowhere to run!
Oh dear, ShahZaM just looking to try and escape. Hunter's Fury not catch its prey this time. That seemed like maybe sinatraa might have taken a little bit of damage for that initial engagement. This is the first time we've actually seen them deny the initial take of that A site. And just look at the rotation. The defense has decided, okay, well, there's nothing here at the moment. We've spotted nothing in that direction. But there's still a very real possibility that Gen.G do look to try and split back. However, with now mid-control firmly in their favor, it does look like B is far more likely.
Teams like to push mid to B like this, and you can tell Sentinels playing off of the site, just trying to at least get a frag before they make their way to the site. It's something that zombs could do, and the rolling thunder
30 seconds
is going
left.
to come through onto the site. It's just going to be Shawn now with the help of player one, trying to make something of this round in the 2 versus 4. So many people waiting for them. Sick brings it in, but Shawn with the Empress now has to try and clutch it out as much as possible. The reload is super awkward. And finally, Sentinels can get off the board, but I imagine the money is still going to be somewhat decent Gen.G.
Yeah, a decent hold from them, and I do like the way that Sentinels actually managed to adapt quite heavily in that round, like with the initial take of A-Long, just not allowing them to basically get all that real estate for free now that they actually have the weaponry available to them. And, well, they actually dropped out a fair few ults in that round as well. Like, that was Gen.G really fighting to try and keep that in their favor. We saw the Empress. We also saw the Hunter's Fury in some of the earlier stages. So the fact they got rid of those and managed to hold on to the round is a pretty good sign. Now, for huynh, gonna pop another one of those ultimates, the Blade Storm, which does give you a decent chance of finding a pick with some elevation here, Ryan, but get anything done with it. There's only really one player here, but that one player is sinatraa.
Doesn't have the Odin, no. He's playing for the Phantom and going to Eldron to get some intel, but the Execute's coming in. It's a really good paranoia that can catch him out. It does completely. sinatraa had no idea what was happening. The Omen wants to try and teleport onto the site just to get a bit of intel, maybe even stay there to get a frag, but zombs decides against it. It's just going to be an old-fashioned retake from really difficult positions for Sentinels. There's no ultimates to help them. They might try to sort of push it together, but they also could save, because this seems very difficult to break through.
That was a beautiful take from Gen.G. I think the thing I really like about that as well is it's evident that there's been some research into that. Like, okay, we need to paranoia here. We need to clear this angle. We need to be prepared for everything sinatra's going to do. And this is something you'll realize a lot. There's a reason that it's very, well, I wouldn't say easy. Easy is the wrong word, but it's easier to become the king. It's very difficult to keep it, because at this point, every single team's going to be watching your demos. Every team's going to be keeping an eye on what you are doing. And at this stage, it seems like Gen.G are very well prepared.
It's all about choosing the fights that you want to take, and with how seamlessly Gen.G made their way onto that B site, it wasn't worth it. Their economy was never going to be that good either if they did try and force it and they all died. You can see that the money is still not ideal for Sentinels, but at least they can have another go at it now. Not really too many ultimates to make of, but sinatraa with a Hunter's Fury could try and throw out an early recon bolt, catch people on where Gelato is, essentially. If it can even get one pulse off, Omen's there, he could paranoia across two. Might be the opening for an ultimate.
Nowhere to run!
Seems like sinatraa, he's going to get a little bit of a tag. I imagine the initial Hunter's Fury might have been just to try and clear out any players in mid and try and get some information. The fact is, though, I'm really loving this from Gen.G. They basically just gone, well, they haven't been able to hold A yet, so let's just continue to push A. They've fully set up outside. We've seen a switch as well from dapr, where a lot of his utility is going out. So realistically, there's not as much of a hold now. And it's really on to zombs to do a good job. He's already going to lose a teammate. And in fact, it's huynh, who's just going to go straight into the site. A double entry for him. That should be round over. I'm finding it difficult to see a way that they get back into this. But it seems that the Sentinels are still going to try. And try they might. One by one, they fall. And you can see Sick just trying his best to escape what has been a fantastic round once again. And hey, you got to give credit to the Jett. That is a superb double entry from huynh.
It's just the play at the start of the round. I mentioned the Hunter's Fury Sentinel play from sinatraa, and Gen.G still wanted to hit A, because of course they do. They love that execute. So they just waited in a position where Sentinels couldn't reach them. They had no intel. They didn't get a frag. Ultimate got nothing. Gen.G knew that that play was coming in, and they played around it. It's super smart, and where has this Gen.G been for like months? This is like a whole team. Whilst, yeah, ShahZaM's able to at least try and keep this operator on another save, 6-1 to Gen.G.
Yeah, they're absolutely dominating at this point. Shawn, maybe he was just the missing piece they were looking for the whole time. Obviously, I do love it when you see like a team basically get beaten by a player playing fantastically well. And obviously, it's the team with the organization that just go, well, we'll have him. Thank you very much. I'm just going to place him over here. Don't worry.
This should do.
You carry on as you.
This goes here.
And, hey, currently 9-2. It's not been a one-man show. 6-1. We'll see another reinvestment from the Sentinels. But they need to get something done. And again, there's going to be much heavier A presence. I think they've realized that that is the true weakness at this point. They're also going to send ShahZaM over to deep B. So they've got a lot of information in case it goes back in the other direction. But the main problems they've had are A and that one round that we saw in mid.
Great opportunity for Shawn to do something on A main though. He's going to be lurking in. So much attention focused on A shot where the majority of Gen.G are. Going to do the whole flashing outside of the smoke, essentially with the cyber cage. Needs to try and find the Cypher on the site. He's in the cyber cage, but the tripwire shows not where Shawn is. 4 versus 3 now. dapr's still doing work on the site. Going to get right into the face of GMD, but unfortunately doesn't win that engagement. The spike isn't on site actually. It's pushing through with MkaeL towards Garden. Might even wrap around to B. But it is a bit awkward sort of leaving your Omen player behind on the site. Might just try and bait or flank around. This is great.
He needs to get both, and unfortunately so low on HP that there wasn't really a chance. Unfortunate. If he manages to somehow double headshot them in a space of a second, then he probably wins that round for his team, or maybe just being a little bit healthier. But it will be a second for Sentinels, and it does seem to be the rounds where they gamble stack A in the early stages that actually come through from them. They've definitely had some problems there. I will say that round, though, was very well played from dapr. Like, not only staying alive, but taking out a couple of players with him. It's the first time we've really seen him enter the scoreboard, and surprisingly, actually, sinatraa has had a bit of a rough start to this game. Nothing, of course, that they can't turn around, but they do need to start getting some rounds on the board.
They're just denying him information. And what usually dapr does when he has his ult is play super aggro, that he just tries to find a frag, use the ultimate, get that information, play around it, but you can see that he's just playing super passively because Gen.G have such good execution to sites that he wants to try and be there. But yes, again, it's going to be a execute coming through, pretty much picture perfect every single time. But ShahZaM catches MkaeL lurking in mid. Nobody's on the A side. The Sentinels want to play pure retake, and they have the advantage in this 5 versus 4.
Spike planted.
Whoa, they don't have it for long. Shawn is on an absolute tear. Turns it back into a 3v3 situation. His Reyna has been formidable thus far, and it looks like his teammate's going to be alongside him here. Player 1 gets a pick, but eventually gets traded from sinatraa. Now both players coming from the heaven. Going to try and wrap back in, but it's clean from GMD. Left all onto the big man himself. sinatraa in a 1 versus 2, trying to find out information of where the last 2 players are. But Shawn, he's going to go peeking. No fear from this man. A triple kill for him again in the round. And it seems like every time there's a tide turn, he's the one steering the ship.
Hopefully people are starting to see how Gen.G won 10-2 on the attacking side up against Xset. Granted, there is a big skill disparity between the Sentinels and Xset, no offense, but the principle is the same, and it's really affecting Sentinels' plays. Now, they might want to stack multiple people over here. Granted, dapr has done so well on A, but Gen.G are just a step ahead. They're going to be attacking B. ShahZaM has the operator, but if he gets flashed out, this could be punishing.
I'm loving the pace of this team. Running, gunning, trying to take down ShahZaM, but he gets one, but that's all. A very quick trade out, and again, they've managed to gain control of the site. It seems like they're just catching off guard in so many of these rounds. A few weaker purchases as well, not going to be helping them out in this retake, but
Spike planted.
they will have the neural theft. Give them a little bit of information. Well, you know what? There's one straight back. Everybody knows where everybody is at this stage, Brian. That may not mean too much. Nice double entry, though. 2 kills back in. They've got to get past the tripwire, and in fact, that actually ends up giving away a frag. MkaeL at the back of the site, a lot of information. Tries to play through, but it's dapr to find the kill. Now GMD a little bit further away than maybe he would have liked. You're going to see the spike spam. He's trying to get him through the wall, but he's got completely the wrong angle. It's just being stuck all the way through, and dapr's got his teammates back. It's a 3rd for Sentinels. A quiet start, but again, we always know there's potential with this side. The only worry for me, though, is I'm fairly certain if you look at a lot of their, well, at least their overall percentage win rate on this map, they normally do win most of their rounds on the defense.
And it's hard to really rate Gen.G's defense on this map when they go ahead 10-2 in the only game that we've seen from them on Ascent in this tournament, because then they pretty much won all of the rounds on their defense. Really little to gauge. But Sentinels do have a game plan. We could talk about that when they hit attack. But look at all of the people on A. There is a Hunter's Fury. It might be another recon bolt to go through to see if they can catch. But Gen.G, they just are in Sentinels' heads right now. They're pushing towards B. You have the breach over there at least. But if they just execute in the right way, he's just going to play passively, let them plant, and just try and play for a retake with all of the ultimates they have. Hunter's Fury can maybe get somebody, but it's awkward. Sentinels have no information right now.
One kill would at least get him his ultimate. And that's what he's hoping for. There's the spam through, and straight through is the Rolling Thunder. I don't know if that was part of the plan, but it seems to have at least died or denied a little bit of extra presence. The thing is, though, Gen.G has actually teleported across to the site with the spike. However, getting it down is going to be very difficult now. This setup from Sentinels has worked almost perfectly. 2 versus 5 to bring this back. Wow, I'd be very impressed.
Costly so far, but Shawn's going to try and push out. Zombs just spots him, crouching, who's king, all that kind of stuff.
Before the hash.
Last round of this half, 3 ultimates available for Gen.G to use. Curious to know what happens because, yeah, their executes are clean, but as soon as one person on the attack dies or something doesn't go to plan, they can often look lost. We're considering double operators on the side of Sentinels. Sinatra's going to be holding it instead of ShahZaM.
This isn't like this goes here.
Again, a stack onto A. This could be a bloodbath. Both teams are heading in the same direction. But this Hunter's Fury needs to be clinical from MkaeL.
We haven't actually seen much of an A side hold from them whatsoever. MkaeL, he's looking for that opener and he's going to find it as well. The first pick goes his way. He's been looking to lead the charge. Blade Storm in effect, but it's sinatraa with the operator. He's going to pick up 2. It may not be his normal expensive weapon. It is one nonetheless. Still though, he's got to be careful. Already tagged relatively low. Looking for a peek back into the site, a slightly whiff shot, and actually the kills are coming back once again. It seems like this Gen.G roster are just on fire. Individually, player 1 picks off 1 more. And while he may have got 2 kills in this round, but he will get no more. 8-4 in favor of Gen.G. A solid attack side half. Well, realistically now, we need to see a pretty decent comeback coming out from the Sentinels.
You can have a look at everything that we just witnessed. An interesting half, but things could still change. Sentinels still have a way of playing, but hopefully everybody can understand now why we are absolutely raving about Shawn. He just makes Gen.G so much more versatile, so much more aggressive. Just gives them a little bit more energy because they were so execute heavy with Effie's with the double initiator, but Shawn could just make his own plays. dapr's had some great moments. He is just that kind of player that can do work. Excited to see what he could do working on the attack.
Is their obstacle.
One of the most cerebral Cyphers in the world. One of the best Cyphers in the world, to be honest. But it's all about getting sick, these ultimates. They always contest this area. They just want to feed up sick
Revealing area.
with the Rolling Thunder, getting orbs, getting plants. Sinatra's going to be the first to sort of grab it. Maybe dedicating Hunter's Fury a little bit more, but they've worked their way already onto the A side. Gen.G are quite happy to spray and pray and just play for the retake because they've already done a little bit of damage.
Yeah, that was really nice for player 1. Just almost finds him perfectly through the smoke. Still has his cam hidden as well, which is going to give a lot of extra information of where these remaining players are hiding. Already, the fault line will hold them back a little bit longer, but it's going to be a long while before we see any more of those coming in to try and deny defusals. A little bit of chip damage as they look to enter back in, but Shawn's already found another one. Playing similarly what we've seen from sinatraa with his pistol and well, this is trading back and forth, but the fact is, again, it always seems to be left to sinatraa. 21 HP, they're already defusing the spike. Manages the first kill with no damage. The second comes through. It's a very nice attempt from sinatraa, but ultimately, the pistol will still go the way of Gen.G.
Got the first kill of the round, got the last kill of the round. Player 1 with some spray very early on just to get some damage in and was lucky to get the kill, to be honest, but he won't mind. Could be 10-4 with this buy that's coming in. Player 1 is going to be wanting to pull out the Ares, and MkaeL's going to do the same thing towards B because, of course, Sova players on B love to play this style. Want to see what Sentinels could do at this point. Sinatraa is only 2 ult points away from having a Hunter's Fury. So maybe they try and get this on the B side, just try and hit it hard to catch people out. It's all about doing as much damage as they can more than getting the plant in, but I'm sure they'll take it at this point.
Cheeky little dry peek, but he does still go down. Again, these pistol rounds that we saw last time, it was exactly the same. Very, very costly, but ultimately the round win didn't quite go their way. A chance for the Ares to do some damage, a slightly missed paranoia. Not going to do too much, and somehow MkaeL has got away with murder. He gets 2 kills for himself, a 3rd in total, and now Sick. He's hoping he can try and find a sneaky kill, but I don't think he expects.
He's got by.
But
He's got into A. He's done.
how has he managed this? Now, there is still a cam available for Gen.G to use. So the second he gets anywhere near this site, they are going to be able to spot it. Although this will probably be one of the biggest bamboozles of all time because they still think he's on the B site. They are going to be utterly confused, but eventually when this spike pops,
planted.
they're now going to get the cam out and probably check where he is. Yeah, there you go. How's he got there?
I mean, Sentinels will still be happy. They've killed 3 members of Gen.G. They've got the spike planted. They've just propped up their economy a little bit more, and Gen.G's is looking a little bit worse. So going into the 15th round, be a good look for them. You can still clutch this out. He is going to hop down, but no, player 1 with the area is just cyber cages, hops for it, does a bit of damage. Another defuse coming in. Sentinels have a long way to climb now. Ultimate should be coming online with the first 5 this half too, so I'm not necessarily panicking too much for Sentinels, but if they lose this buy round that's coming up, I'm starting to get a bit more concerned.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is even if you are a very strong believer in the attacking side for Sentinels, which they're definitely still very, very good at. This is a map where they have had phenomenal victories on either side of the map. But at the same time, 3 rounds. That's all Gen.G need. 3 rounds. And normally the games between these 2 teams are very close. In fact, this might even be the heaviest loss Sentinels ever receive on this map. In fact, at the moment, I think the worst scoreline they've ever had was versus TSM and was a 13-9. So this is a map that they have been dominant on in the past. This would be a shock to the system for sure.
It'd be great,
now, it is their opponent's map choice.
And Sick is just waiting around the ult orb. I think it was actually picked up by a sinatraa because he's ready to go with the Hunter's Fury. He's moved along. Both of them are really close. I think Sick only needs 1 more ult charge, and he'd be ready to go with a Rolling Thunder. And they're just great plays to open up a site. That's why the double initiate is so strong on this map. So the recon bot's going to come through. It hasn't pulsed. It's just, again, a bit of a shot in the dark, and he's just trying to find these positions that people can be hanging in. It's a little bit gun-ho.
Silence.
And it might be an opportunity for Gen.G.
Revealing area.
But yeah, you have to bear in mind this round especially is still a lot of the bonus weaponry for Gen.G. You've got Ares, Stingers, like it's not a particularly pretty buy, but they're going to try and make it work. Now they've got some aggression into B, and actually that's a superb paranoia! GMD might have just single-handedly won them the round. He's gained 2 kills, make that a 3rd. What a ridiculous play from GMD. The power of the paranoia strikes again, and Sentinels might just be out of this map.
So much pressure on any of them to really clutch up right now. It's a great thing about Sentinels. They all have that ability. Sinatra's got a few more frags now since the start of the map. He's ramped up a lot more, but often more than not, it's a 1 versus X when it comes to these clutches, and it's always an uphill struggle. GMD maybe wanted to play a bit more aggro towards mid. There are 3 people there if you count the 2 from short. But Sentinels maybe trying to put their position in with a Rolling Thunder. The Eldrin's going to come through. If it spots nobody on site, they might do it across tree. But getting that frag onto Huynh, more incentive, I suppose, for Sentinels to push onto the site and use a little bit more. They've got this opening that they need.
Found you.
Nowhere to run!
A lot of damage being done through, or at least it seemed, but doesn't actually get away with anywhere near as much. And Gen.G have quickly turned this into a pretty decent situation. ShahZaM now going to be the only one remaining, and he gets absolutely nothing. It was, of course, just a slight investment coming out from Sentinels, but I think we're way past the point of return for Sentinels at this point. Gen.G are absolutely dominating, and I have to say, like, you came into this day, I'll be honest, I can admit it, and you were like, you know what, I think Gen.G might be able to take Ascent. Like, you were looking at it as a possibility, and I was like, you know what, Sentinels, they've been so good at this map for so while. Sure, they had a blip on it, like, earlier in the tournament, but I was just calling it a blip. I was thinking, that's a mistake, it won't happen again. They've not really looked like they were in this map at all. And I'm hoping this will be something that almost awakens them for map number 2, because unless they're going to pull off an 8-round streak, then this is over.
it's weird because there's been a lot of cases where it's like, oh, they're gonna do this. You can see the 6 again, sort of on A main, position that he likes to ult from. Could bait the ult towards A and push B. That's another play that Sentinels have in their playbook that they have used over the last couple of days. But there's always something that they do a little bit too fast or a little bit too slow. It's their timings are off with some of the ways that they execute the utilities. The bait has come in. Let's see if Gen.G rotate at all. No, they are pretty much convinced that it's just gonna be sick over there. They're expecting this B hit.
MkaeL push to the back of the site, taking a little bit of damage, and actually ShahZaM has managed to get the opener. He's all on his own. He needs the multi-frag, and he gets absolutely nothing.
I know exactly where you are.
They're going to get information of where the remaining couple of players are, and that actually leaves Shawn in a pretty awkward position. I say that. He has popped the Empress. Now that first kill brings this round back into the realms of possibility, but ShahZaM has just gone on an absolute tear, looking to try and do this all on his own. Eventually will get shut down. The spike has been ticking. Counter-utility being expended, and it seems like on the other side of things, huynh might just be making the decision to hold on to some of his weaponry. Not wanting to throw everything in this round, but for Shawn, he just wants to try and hold them into the site, deny them anything in the save, and he's just absolutely destroying them. We may even just see the remaining player just opt to try and die to the spike. He's not quite going to get the ace, but he has made this a very costly round, and huyhn's there at the end to close them out. Sure, it's a victory for the Sentinels, Ryan, but it's not a very good result in the end.
Yeah, Gen.G will take that any day of the week. They've completely ruined Sentinels' economy from that. There's Bulldogs in place, Spectres. They popped the Empress already. So it's just a case of why not? We're on match point. They need to get 8 rounds in a row to bring this back. We can maybe take the gas off a little bit. And Sentinels don't really have too many ultimates to make a play from. Sure, they have ShahZaM, but it's going to probably buy up very little. There's no point in saving anything, to be honest, at this point. So the Bladestorm might come out very early on. And yet again, they're just forced to make a play. They don't have ultimates to play off. There's no way to make that happen. But sinatra's found that opening.
It's a very aggressive start to the round. huynh already getting a peek. From Shawn, though, he has been superb so far. GMD looking to try and support him as well, and he's managed to dodge the Hunter's Fury. But just look at the offense, rotating all the way back around.
These Hunter's Furies have not caught anything, I don't think. They've just been a miss, unfortunately, from sinatraa. Zombs now from the shadows to make his way over to A. Not going to Cypher. And I think Gen.G might back off to Cypher just to check. The Cypher's already there. Player 1's maybe expecting that kind of play, but Zombs has still opened things up. It's really a case of what Player 1 could do. His position he's given up, but he's still able to get dapr. Luckily, sinatra's played up that play.
Shadows.
The Omen teleport. It's got intel, but it's not going to get much more.
Well, a man that I think even Sentinels might have learnt to fear a little bit. Shawn is still standing. He's up alongside GMD as well. Both of them have had an incredible match, proving what this team has got. Even a little bit of spam through the corner box could be enough to get them the first opening pick, but I like it. The play around the edge of the smoke, sinatraa. He's going to get himself one, but it comes down to the 1v1. Shawn a little bit tagged, his opponent much weaker, and he gets the kill! Just 4 HP to close out the match. It's Gen.G. This is a 13-5. And while we had a little bit of a moment in there, I was thinking, what's the worst performances they've ever had? The worst loss.